Welcome to the Business 7 Show. My name is Ohana Kache, and this week we take a look at key economic events that took place in the week.
Life is unpredictable, and one needs to be protected against any eventuality. Get Santam legal access from as little as 50 Namibian dollars a month for when you find yourself in need of legal representation due to civil cases, criminal prosecution, and family matters such as divorce, child maintenance, and custody. It also covers labor disputes, disciplinary hearings, and unfair dismissal or retrenchment. With Santam Legal Access, you'll receive free legal advice on almost every legal aspect, whether the specific matter is covered by your policy or not. For true peace of mind and legal protection when you need it most, call us on 061 292 8000. Santam. This is freedom.
The CEO of Debmarine Namibia, Willie Mertens, this week during a courtesy call by American journalists to Namibia, informed them that the emergence of lab-grown diamonds and the slump in the price for natural diamonds is casting a damper on Namibia's growth ambitions.
We all know that the diamonds that are coming from Namibia are called premier natural diamonds. More than 95% of the diamonds that are produced in Namibia are gem quality, fetching the highest average price of all the diamonds that are produced in the world. Our diamond industry has been the backbone of this economy, and Leonie can testify to that, since independence in 1990. But sadly, in the last couple of years, we have witnessed a significant slump in the demand for natural diamonds. A slump in the demand for natural diamonds, particularly in an important consumer market like the US. This is not just a slump that presents commercial challenges for us. In our case in Namibia, it is a slump that threatens livelihoods. A slump in the natural diamonds that someone is in a bit of a hurry. That threatens the ambitious plans that we have in our National Development Plan number 6. That development agenda is under threat. A slump that places at risk government's ability to provide free education, that threatens the investment in infrastructure. We've seen the new road from Windhoek to the airport. Those who haven't been on that road, please go see what development looks like. So it's not just commercial challenges that we are talking about. It is real. It is real, and it makes real impact in each and every Namibian that is here. As an employee in this diamond sector here in Namibia, and I'm sure I'm speaking for all of those and all of my colleagues that are here, we want to see a recovery, and I think one is quite overdue in the demand for natural diamonds. Our guests from the USA, you've seen our operations, you've seen the technologies that we employ, you have experienced the passion of our people, you've seen the responsible practices that we employ when we produce these natural diamonds. So perhaps when you get back home, in any way that you can, please take forward the message that the purchase and the investment in a natural diamond is an investment into the health, the education and development of a small, ambitious nation called Namibia.
Network Media Hub mining specialist Ogito Craig, during the Chamber of Mines of Namibia conference, sat down with the CEO of Andrada Mining, Anthony Viljoen. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
We are at the Mining Expo at the Windhoek Showgrounds 2025 Mining Expo presented by Chamber of Mines here in Namibia. My name is Ogito Craig, and with me Mr. Anthony Viljoen. He heads Andrada Mining, which is a very successful Namibian enterprise. How are you, Anthony?
Ogito, fantastic. Thanks. Lovely to be here at the Expo. Every year it just gets bigger and bigger, and that's really very exciting for the Namibian mining industry.
Excellent. So since last year, Andrada has made significant milestones. Can you highlight the 3 important ones for you?
So look, a very important one is that obviously we've increased our production, which is really good. We've had a number of initiatives at the mine in terms of getting better efficiencies from the mining perspective that we're really excited about. But a very significant milestone is also our partnership now with SQM on Lithium Ridge. So this is our second asset. Lithium Ridge is really very prospective for lithium spodumene, and we've got a joint venture relationship now with SQM, which is really fantastic. You know, they're the biggest lithium miners in the world, and I think the partnership will unlock a lot of value for the project and for Namibia. And then third is Brandberg West, which is our third asset. We've completed a drilling program there.
Oh,
And so, we're growing, and the portfolio is growing, and it's really exciting times for our development.
excellent. Now you built all the success on tin. Let's talk a bit more about tin production and also the improvements that you've made to the plant, supply, and I also want to hear where you're exporting to.
Yeah, so look, what we're trying to do is create as much efficiency out of the plant as possible. You know, it's a relatively lower grade of tin deposit, so we need to move a lot of rock very efficiently. So we've had a number of continuous improvement initiatives that we've looked at, and that's starting to pay dividends. We hit a very big milestone from a production point of view. We got a record production last month.
Last month?
Yes.
How much?
170 tons of tin concentrate. So,
Wow.
So you know, our team is really pulling out all the stops, which is really good. And you know, we've got such a great team on the ground. It's great to see everybody really pulling their weight and getting that going. So you know, we sell to the smelters, the tin smelters in Thailand.
Okay.
We've had a great relationship with them. You know, we beneficiate a lot of our material, so we take it from a 0.1% into a 60% tin concentrate, and then the smelters take it to the purity of 99.99%.
Awesome.
So you know, it's a well established value chain.
Yeah.
And you know, we growing in the tin business, and as our production increases, we hopefully going to have a more prominent role in the tin industry.
And prices of tin is going up, no?
Yes, yeah. You know, tin is the spice metal that's used in all of the applications. So you know, as all of these data centers and AI chips start getting produced, you know, the demand for tin is increasing. There's very little new supply coming on stream, so the tin prices are very high at the moment, and I think could possibly go even higher. So it positions us really well as our increased production comes on stream.
Excellent, excellent. Let's go into lithium, and the exploration is still going on, and you are still, or you have progressed, I think, in terms of your production.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So what we're looking to do now is integrate the lithium into or lithium production into the plant.
Yeah.
So we're busy doing studies to enable that.
Okay.
But then very significantly is on Lithium Ridge is the exploration program that we're undertaking there. With SQM.
Yeah.
And I think that will unlock a lot of value on the lithium side as well.
Has there been any technology transfer in terms of your partnership with SQM?
Look, it's early days still. So you know, but you know, they do have a really unique set of skills.
Yes.
Because they are so prolific in the lithium business. We have been to their plant in Antofagasta, and I think there'll be a lot of valuable skills transfer by being able to leverage their knowledge base.
You mentioned your excellent team on the ground earlier. Let's talk a bit about jobs.
Yeah, so look, I mean, that's something that we really pride ourselves on. You know, I think it's 98% of our workforce is Namibian. You know, the pool of skilled mining expertise is relatively small in Namibia. So what we've done is we've run graduate recruitment programs, and a lot of our operators and heads of departments have all come through that graduate program.
Oh.
And you know, we're very proud of what we've done at WIS. You know, when we first arrived at WIS in 2015, there was there was no industry or there was a brick factory there. But since we've gone there, we've created 400 jobs.
Okay.
We've invested 1.5 billion Namibian dollars into the economy, and the multiplier effects of mining. You can actually see it,
Yeah.
because there's small industries popping up.
Yeah.
There's a new road being tarred into Uis. So Uis is you can see the benefits of our investment
Yeah.
visibly, and we're very proud of our track record there, and we want to grow, and we want to create more jobs as we develop Andrada into the preeminent mining company in Namibia.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I like that vision. But let's touch on something a little bit controversial. Recently, you guys made a deal for some supply of ore. The suppliers or the mine where you're getting it from is in an area that's sensitive in terms of conservation area issues, especially rhinos. And I wanted to know your stance about rhino conservation and environmental protection in general.
Yeah, so we just much like on the social side, from an environmental point of view, we are very proud of our record. We are developing a biodiversity strategy where we want to see the coexistence between industries that add value to the Namibian economy. So, we do understand it is in a sensitive area, but this deposit has been known since the 1980s, since Goldfields was there. I think there's a lot of value that can be created for the local economy. We do want to engage, obviously, and we have been engaging with all stakeholders in the area. The footprint will be relatively small in terms of the bigger conservation area.
Yeah.
We want to also contribute to the protection of the rhinos. It's a very sensitive species, and we want to protect that heritage as much as everybody else. And I think there is a solution. I think the best way forward would be for everybody to sit around and collaborate. It's not the first time that mining and conservation sort of meet.
Yeah.
And there are solutions.
Yes.
And we want to contribute to those solutions.
Excellent. Okay, now let's look a little bit forward, the rest of the year, and the targets for this financial period. Do you think you're going to hit them?
Yes, look, it's never easy in the mining business. So what we have been doing is we've been monitoring our costs. So we are trying to bring the costs down. We've built a new circuit that we're going to start commissioning hopefully in the not too distant future. We've going to be running a very aggressive drilling campaign on Lithium Ridge. We're wanting to unlock some more value with Brandberg West. So we're busy, we're growing. We've got a fantastic team, and we just got to maintain a very friendly investment environment in Namibia.
President Netumbo Nandi Ndaitwah recently launched economic task forces that will deal with the housing crisis in Namibia, health, and also look at targeted interventions to deal with Namibia's economic recovery. Let's take a look.
One of the task force reference points should be the post-COVID-19 economic recovery report. There's a document to that effect, and the National Planning Commission has to make it available. The task force on health, a health nation is a productive nation. This committee will assist us in building a strong, more responsive health system that serves the needs of all Namibians. And I want to underline, all Namibians. The report of the 2013 on health, commissioned by His Excellency Hifikepunye Pohamba, should be the most critical reference document for the task force on health. This committee was composed of individuals from different backgrounds. They went all over Namibia, and it took them not less than a year to produce that report. And to my understanding, it has looked holistically on our health system and made clear recommendation on what should be done. It is therefore my hope, and I'm asking this committee to help us, to help me to implement this report.
Business 7 also sat down with Anchor Capital economist Casey Spraka to talk about Namibia's growth prospects. Let's take a look. Welcome for joining us on the Business 7 show. It's a pleasure to have you tuned in from Cape Town, South Africa.
Hi there, thank you for having me on the show today.
You recently authored an op-ed where you were speaking about the case of Namibia Incorporated. What are some of the investment opportunities that you believe lie in Namibia, not just for the South African investor, but holistically?
I think from a very high level, Namibia has long been considered a politically stable country, economically stable as well, aside from being quite economically intertwined with South Africa. I think from this sort of new phase we see entering into, he's starting to drive towards sort of strategic importance, and that's really anchored in promising oil discoveries, expanding infrastructure, and a pivot towards strategy. And I think for South African investors in particular, sort of really, presents a rare convergence of what we call familiarity and frontier opportunity as well. And that's really grounded in both, Namibia's sort of economic recovery post sort of COVID-19, as well as sort of the growth forecast we're looking at ahead, particularly entrenched in the strong sort of oil discovery we've seen within the country.
And then what is favorable about, or rather, why is Namibia's investment climate favorable for the South African investor?
I think for South African investors, Namibia's appeal really lies in both its economic fundamentals and its structurality. For example, the Namibian dollar's one-on-one peg with South African rand, that eliminates foreign exchange volatility. You can easily and openly use South African currency in Namibia. And I think this, coupled with the two countries' sort of deep trade and institutional ties, and we see that, anchored in the Southern African Customs Union, of course, SACU, and within the Southern African Development Community and sort of the free trade area from that. And that really creates a predictable policy environment. And I think, further to that, Namibia's tax regime is also relatively attractive. For example, the top personal income tax rate of around 37%, compare that to South Africa's 45%. That's quite a difference. And then, of course, you naturally see your full repatriation of capital and profits. And in addition to that, Namibia has a well-functioning judicial system, strong protection of property rights, and high-quality physical and telecommunications infrastructure that really further bolsters investors' confidence in the country.
Which sectors do you see key as attractive for investors to look into?
I think naturally, of course, you would primarily look at Namibia's agricultural sector and really see that to be a sort of key support for growth for Namibia over the near term as it sort of recovers. Naturally, we saw a severe drought in 2024 for the Namibian economy, and we saw the strong contraction, but improved rainfall this year is really expected to sort of restore output and improve food security as a whole. And that in turn has spillover effects on real incomes, your domestic demand, and of course your food related manufacturing. And then of course Namibia's mining, particularly with regards to uranium, that's really becoming another sort of vital pillar for the Namibian economy, and that whole sector remains robust. We see global demand for uranium fueled by that resurgence of interest in nuclear energy that's really sort of buoyed prices and reinforced Namibia's position as one of the world's top producers. And in addition to that, the broader sort of mining and quarrying sector is likely to remain buoyant as well. And in addition to that, of course, is one of the most talked about developments is the growing interest in offshore oil in Namibia, along with Namibia's ever-growing sector as well.
I want to bring back the conversation to mining, and this week we launched what was called the National Development Plan 6. This forms the industrialization plan that takes Namibia towards becoming an industrialized country. And what is contained in the plan is this issue of increased local ownership in new mining ventures. How would you then see this appeasing investors who would be keen to look at the uranium issue that you brought up, but now they also have to grapple with increased local ownership?
Yes, and I mean, that's a dynamic we see across the globe, right? And we see it within South Africa as well. And it's a bit of a tricky catch-22 because any localized economy will obviously want to try and keep, profits and investments in-house to keep making sure that money stays sluicing within the local economy rather than dripping out to international investors. But the difficult part to that, of course, is that you still need international investors, particularly within sectors such as the mining sector that has huge capital requirements. You need that funding coming through. So I think that the key direction for this going ahead for Namibia is to make sure you have the right type of partnership frameworks in place so that you can try and find that happy medium between getting that foreign sort of capital buy-in, but at the same time making sure that there is enough sort of local participation as well.
I want to continue on this issue of equity. And again, we are still working on, or rather government as a policymaker is still working on finalizing local content policy with regards to oil and gas. And surely this will also extend into the green hydrogen sector. This policy uncertainty, as an investor, or what does this not serve as a deterrent?
Yes, depending on sort of where the direction goes, and again, I can use South Africa as a primary example because it's something that South Africa suffered with quite significantly this year, is this lack of policy certainty. So that really needs to be the first sort of step for Namibia going ahead. If international investors are uncertain of the environment that they are going to be plugging, large amounts of capital into, they will be reluctant to invest in it, and they will look elsewhere, particularly to any other emerging markets. And I think that's what's key for Namibia, is that they want to have this sort of strong industrialization boom. It's important to note that this is built on sort of resilience, long-term investment, and strong, bold policy making. And it's, if Namibia really is serious about sort of this industrial transformation that it is trying to drive, and you mentioned the sort of key flagship policy from there, I think Namibia really needs to focus on strengthening its infrastructure, deepening those technological capabilities, and building out sort of occasional pipelines, and making sure that there's this localized investment as well into sort of productive domestic value chains. And that is all grounded in the base of strong policy works and a certain sort of environment, and a business environment that is open and enabling more than restrictive and uncertain.
For the lay investor, there's this expectation that, yes, Namibia has now suddenly discovered potentially huge amounts of oil. There's this huge talk around green hydrogen, but surely one can say that this is certainly some way off, 5, 10, 15, even 20 years before I see a return on investment. So why Namibia, just based on resources that are yet to be developed, and an industry that is even yet still to prove itself, speaking now for green hydrogen?
Yes, no, of course, and I think you hit the nail on the head there. That's what's key, is that this would be a long-term investment. It's not a sort of a short-term gain. This is for those investors who are willing to take the longer play, particularly if you're looking in those particular sectors, such as the oil or the hydrogen gas discoveries as well. So it's not something you would see a short-term return on, but it is pointing the economy to a positive direction. If we do kind of get those sectors up in place, it will have a sort of rapid transformation. And again, none of this economics isn't, or the economy isn't a slow moving machine. It's very long term sort of fiscal outlook that you need to take.
And then in conclusion, what are the challenges that Namibia has to overcome in terms of painting itself as a attractive frontier market for new money?
No, 100%. And again, another sort of key point to make is that Namibia is not without its vulnerabilities as a nation. As we know, the Namibian economy remains sensitive to climate volatility. Particularly, you've just seen that through the strong drought period. Again, to prevalent to sort of water scarcity. And of course, there are external risks as well, which are affecting many nations across the globe. And those are your geopolitical tensions at the moment. We see a lot of that stemming from concerns around trade from Washington under the Trump administration. Namibia is particularly prevalent towards commodity price fluctuations and any disruption to the sort of trade relationship between, again, South Africa, the US, the thing about AGOA. And that all has knock-on effects, again, given Namibia's particularly close economic linkages to South Africa. It also has structural issues such as employment and inequality, and a lot of those issues remain unresolved, and that can temper sort of inclusive growth outcomes. And these are some things that most investors are well aware of. But again, this isn't particularly unique to Namibia. This is prevalence across most emerging markets countries. But again, out of that, the focus is sort of on that industrialization aspect, and that for Namibia's ability to really position itself as an investable, sort of self-reliant economy, that will really define whether it can also break out of the sort of middle income trap that it's finding itself in. Recently be reclassified as an upper middle income country to a lower middle income country, and this has implications across. But there it talks about the elements we spoke about already, about needing to break out of this trap and look at being stuck in sort of just needs for external financing, but familiarizing yourself with strong policy making, strong investor flows, institutional flows across the economy, and making sure that your fiscal policy and your monetary policy drive together to make these sorts of changes. And again, it's built on resilience, on long-term investment and bold policy making.
Thank you so much for joining us on the Business 7 show. We hope to have a conversation again.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us on the Business 7 show. Have yourself a pleasant evening.